Hey guys, so this is going to be a quick one. Two things I wanted to talk about. The first one is just pinning data, and the second one is just like what we're actually looking at right here. Um, so what we're looking at real quick is I'm building a voice agent for a YouTube video, and it's a pretty simple one. Basically, what I'm doing here is we're sending over information, from 11 Labs, and it's extracting like where do I want to travel to, where do I want to travel from, what dates, how many people, what activities do I want to do in this whatever location I'm going to. What I have here is um, this basic chain is basically just turning the cities that we're entering into airport codes, so that we're getting O'Hare's code and Salt Lake City's code to actually plug into the API to get flights. So I'm using SERP API for both flights and resorts, and so I wanted to talk about like pinning. So in my SERP API dashboard, I've got 4 out of 100 searches this month, and because I want to stay on the free plan, because this one is like $75 a month. So how can we test and just like make sure everything's working and not run through all of our credits? So if you aren't aware of like how you pin stuff, I ran these two each. I ran them each twice, so that's why I've done four. But I ran them with fixed data. So I put in information here as fixed, and I ran it, and then I pinned the data. So I hit this button up in the top right. So now this data is here that I can continue to map things with and play with to understand how it's going to come through. So now you can see like in my when I'm generating the email, I'll have to run this to show you guys, but like I had to map all this information, right? And so I wanted to pin it so that if I accidentally refresh, I don't have to do another run and waste a call. And we're still able to, test workflow. The webhook is also pinned, so I don't have to go into 11 Labs every time. It just fed through here and it's grabbing that data, and the email agent's able to write an email um, without having to call these. So it got through that process, right? And I come in here in SERP API and I refresh. We're still only at 4 out of 100 searches. So I'm just able to continue to not use my credits over here. And now this stuff is going to be green. So you can see it's writing an email now based on all this information. So yeah, just got sent out, and then obviously it's going to respond to the webhook. But what we have here is basically like we're getting a travel plan with flights, resorts, and activities at that place. And obviously, I put in Chicago, but when I ran the fixed set, like this isn't Chicago, obviously, because it's not pulling that live data. Because this was let's see, this was or no, this is Salt Lake City, but the resorts was not Salt Lake City, or no, it wasn't Chicago. Let's see what it is. Google Hotels. We've got properties. I don't remember what I put in for this actual run, but anyways, that's the point, right? So this isn't done at all. I don't even think I put a location in there. That's why I was just testing out stuff. But anyways, this will come. So a step by step on this agent will come. A breakdown will come. I'm still working on the things about it because this will be a YouTube video, of course. So working on the kinks, but then I'll dive into like what's actually going on here, and how we got the this looks pretty intimidating, and maybe this isn't the best way to do it, but I'm feeding in all this data here so that in the overview of like how to structure the email, it's going to send those images as like inline, as you can see we got the images from the resorts here as well. So yeah, like I said, just wanted to make a quick one real quick about pinning data when you're doing these calls if you don't want to run through your credits, and to show you guys something brief that I'm working on. And maybe SERP API, Google Flights, and Google Resorts isn't even the best way to be doing this one, but that's what I started off playing with. I tried the what's it called, um, Amadeus API, and that one was like really clunky. The documentation was pretty poor. I was able to get my key and send a few requests, but I just didn't love it. One thing that's interesting about the SERP API is we're sending everything over as query parameters rather than body or headers. So like everything's in the query parameter, and that's why it's a GET request, which is interesting. So you could essentially put all the query parameters up here as well, but I chose to do it down here where I can just clearly see what the fields are and what we're putting in there. And something like this one, luckily the documentation on SERP API is pretty robust, but we have to send over QQ as like a header and a value, and if you don't do that, it's gonna fail. But like just to show you guys like where that comes from, Google Hotels API, search query, and these are all parameters, as you can see, API parameters, but Q is required, and it doesn't even tell you the value, but I just figured it'd be Q and I tested it. But we've got other stuff that's required, and then you can filter like amenities, max price. You can sort. You can do specific brands, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But expect to see something about this one both in the community, step by step, and a YouTube video soon. Anyways, yeah, that's really it. So thanks, guys.